In the modern world, we hear the daily call, consume, fill, leave no empty space. It is not hunger that frightens us so much as emptiness. We are afraid that the soul will remain unfilled, and so we grasp at the first thing that comes along. We confuse life with the rapid, mindless filling of space, creating an illusion of fullness, which is, in reality, just noise. This constant fuss leads to spiritual burnout, to a quiet but dangerous hunger of the soul. But what if the highest form of life is not filling, but a sophisticated, even aggressive choice of emptiness, an anticipation of quality? This is precisely what the poet, philosopher, and, let us not forget, great mathematician Omar Khayyam speaks of in one of his sharpest Rubaiyat, which sounds like a recipe for resistance. Listen to it carefully, feeling the weight of every word, because it is not just a poem, but an instruction for the survival of a noble soul. "'Tis better to go hungry than to eat what comes along, and better to be alone than with just anyone. 'Tis better to spend 100 years asleep than to basely seek anything in life." This is a challenge to the culture of haste. It is an ode to conscious waiting. If you want to delve into the world of Omar Khayyam, I recommend this particular edition of the Rubaiyat, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. It is a wonderful book for your collection or as a gift. The ordering link is located below this video. It will help you feel the depth of his philosophical thought, which is often lost in superficial retellings. May this book become your guide into the garden of the Rubaiyat. We are accustomed to perceiving Omar Khayyam only as a thinker who praises the transience of life, wine, and clay, but his true power lies in the precision that science demands. Khayyam was not only the author of the best calendar of his time, but also an outstanding astronomer and mathematician, a man who lived in a world of verified formulas and cosmic harmony. His thinking was permeated by a quest for truth, for ideal accuracy, allowing no ambiguity or randomness in his calculations. This scientific approach to life could not simply disappear when he took up his pen to write about the fate of man. So, how could a man who operated with complex astronomical data reconcile himself to the chaos of mindless human choices? His philosophy, unlike many others, is not the result of blind inspiration, but rather a mathematical deduction about the optimal path of existence. For Khayyam, truth is not just a metaphor, but the only correct answer in the equation of life, which must be as precise as the movement of the planets. He saw that the human spirit, thrown into an imprecise, bustling world, begins to suffer from the discrepancy between the internal ideal and external reality. This is where his paradoxical instruction arises: better an absolute zero than any negative quantity. This tension between the scientific search for truth and the human spiritual propensity for anything is the cornerstone of his philosophy. Khayyam, as a scholar, knew the cost of error perfectly well. He knew that one incorrect variable destroys the entire formula. In the context of our lives, an ill-considered choice becomes such an incorrect variable, whose low quality destroys the formula for our spiritual success. Therefore, he offers not just poetry or morality, but essentially a scientifically grounded method for protecting one's intellectual and spiritual integrity. His Rubaiyat are not merely lyrics, but a strict formula for spiritual self-defense. It is in this context that we must consider his poem. These are not just pieces of advice, but a formula for selection. For Khayyam, the quality of choice becomes the controlled variable that we can introduce into the equation of our life to secure the outcome. This means that the refusal of a lower quality temptation is just as important an action as the acceptance of a higher purpose. Khayyam teaches us that the passive refusal of the bad is actually the active shaping of one's future. This is his unique scientific philosophical vision, the preservation of the purity of the input data. In modern culture, we live under the dictates of what can be called the algorithm of noise. We are constantly being fed random, often low-quality goods, content, or even relationships that demand our immediate attention. We feel pressured to fill every second, every feed, every plate. This leads us to lose the ability to recognize true quality because our spiritual palate is dulled by constant low-calorie filling. Khayyam's call to fast is a call for detoxification from this noise. And now, Khayyam's most unexpected thought. "'Tis better to spend 100 years asleep." This is not a call to laziness, as it might seem, but to strategic waiting and energy conservation. Sleep here is a metaphor for inner silence, spiritual solitude, where we wait for the right signal instead of reacting to random noise. This is the only possible way to preserve clarity of mind when the surrounding world seeks to trap you in the realm of the temporary. It is the choice of a passive yet persistent form of resistance.
The courage to refuse a choice is the true sign of spiritual strength in a world of excess. If you cannot find gold, it is better not to dig at all than to waste time on dirt and random pebbles. In a world where even emptiness is a commodity, the ability to say, "No, I will wait for something genuine," is the highest form of financial and spiritual independence. Khayyam teaches that true dignity lies in the ability to endure the inconvenience of waiting. Let's look at the metaphor of hunger from a new angle, not as a physical state, but as a spiritual fast. Fasting is a tool that sharpens our inner receptors, making us sensitive to the genuine vibrations of life, not its surrogates. If we constantly fill ourselves with something random, we will never feel the true, deep desire that leads to great changes. The hunger of the soul is not a deficit, but a space for the magnificent filling. The metaphor of solitude, better to be alone, also goes beyond trivial networking. It's about filtering energy, not just people. Bad company is anything that lowers your spiritual or intellectual standard, even if it's just background noise from a screen. Khayyam urges us to protect our inner space from toxic filler that drains our capacity for deep thinking and genuine connection. Solitude here is a laboratory for inner work, not a punishment. The opposite of this spiritual fasting is the search for anything. Basely seek anything in life. This is the greatest danger. Anything is what gives you low-grade, instant gratification, making you forget your true, grand request to the universe. This is when we choose just some job, some entertainment, some partner, just to avoid the discomfort of emptiness. It is a faint-hearted surrender to mediocrity because it is convenient and easily accessible. And here we come to the most important point. The invisible price of choosing anything is that it occupies the space reserved for everything you deserve. Every unit of low-quality choice we accept becomes an internal barrier to something truly magnificent because our inner space is already filled. You cannot pour new, clean water if your mug is full of old, dirty sediment. This is the economy of spiritual space, governed by the law of conservation of energy and quality. Thus, the quality of choice becomes a shocking form of resistance because it is absolutely invisible to the outside world. Everyone sees your success or failure, but no one sees your internal no to thousands of temptations. This resistance is deeply personal. It requires daily, conscious work with oneself as you defend your inner standard. It is a quiet war against a culture that forces you to move faster than you think. Think about a modern dilemma, for instance, in choosing a career or a relationship, where we are often afraid of missing out on at least something. Khayyam says, "It's okay if you sleep for 100 years, just don't betray the formula of your life. Don't betray your true worth." Ultimately, it is not the universe that betrays you, but you yourself betray your internal formula by agreeing to second best. Accepting less is a betrayal of the inner scientist who knows the true price. The power of this Khayyam-esque slow burn opposes our modern need for immediate results, our instincts for instant gratification. A scientist can work on a single formula for years without seeing a result, but they know that precision is the only path to truth.
Khayyam urges us to apply the same persistence, the same level of patience to the construction of our own lives. This is the meaning of the 100 years of sleep. Inactivity with dignity is better than low-quality, bustling activity. The modern dopamine economy is built on our fear of emptiness, on our addiction to constantly pressing the button for instant yet meager rewards. Khayyam offers us a Sufi discipline to cultivate an inner strength that does not require external crutches to feel self-worth. Our lives become an endless process of filling rather than living, and only Khayyam's philosophy can be the antidote. We must learn to enjoy not the process of consumption, but the quality of what we allow ourselves. Khayyam's philosophical lesson can be compared to applying the 10,000-hour rule not to skills, but to choice. We must dedicate the same focused attention to our main life choices as a master dedicates to their craft. Every choice we make is not a random roll of the dice, but a carefully considered investment in our own spiritual capital. One should not take random steps when their entire life project is at stake. Ultimately, the main secret to refined choice is the ability to say a decisive no. This is not a sign of limitation, but a mark of immense self-respect and a clear vision of one's path. Only those who can refuse the mediocre leave space in life for something absolutely exceptional. This is a quiet yet powerful movement that distinguishes the true master of their life from a casual wanderer. Khayyam, using scientific logic, urges us to protect the integrity of our inner vessel, our soul, from toxic liquids. As an astronomer, he saw the perfect form of the planets, and he wanted our inner form to be just as flawless and pure. When we accept low quality, we distort the inner form, making it unsuitable for filling with a true, pure essence. Therefore, protecting the form is protecting its potential. Thus, choosing quality over comfort is the highest act of self-respect, requiring inner resilience that does not depend on external approval. Khayyam encourages us to create an internal framework that will prevent our standards from collapsing under the pressure of quick decisions and easily accessible fulfillment. Our dignity is measured not by what we accepted, but by what we bravely refused. This is a reliable inner architecture. Ultimately, our choices are the only artifact that remains after us and will testify to the quality of our life before the face of the cosmos, to which the astronomer Khayyam bowed. Look at your life from this cosmic perspective. Did you fill your 100 years with something base and random, or did you boldly allow yourself to sleep while waiting for a genuine star? Khayyam calls us to live not as an episode, but as an exquisite, flawlessly calibrated epic. The quality of your choice is your highest form of resistance and your only way to tell the universe, I am worth better. May your life be a refined choice, not a random necessity. If this video resonates with you, let us know by liking and subscribing so you don't miss our next analyses of Eastern philosophy. Tell us in the comments, what exactly are you refusing in order to create space for what is truly important? So remember, life is far too precious to waste on just anything. In a world that pressures you every minute to choose quickly and fill the void at any cost, your greatest act of strength is choosing quality over quantity, silence over noise, and noble solitude over toxic company. Khayyam urges us not to chase the world, but to shape ourselves so that the world cannot ignore our integrity. If these words resonate with you, share in the comments. What are you ready to let go of today in order to make space for what truly matters?